Good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone. Good evening and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Denzamos, and you are welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking empaths free. If you are new on this channel, I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. I talk about spirituality, and I talk about personal and self-development. And if any of that resonates with you, I invite you guys to join us. Give us a like, share this video with your friends, and you may subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back, and I thank you for your love and support. Guys, it's a very beautiful weather. I came out grounding. I came out to ground. We're starting to get the summer weather over here. Let me just take off my shoes quickly. Empaths, let's do some grounding, right? Okay, listen guys. The narcissist, we are going to visit the narcissist today. Revisit. And one thing that I want to talk about today is what the narcissist doesn't really understand about a super empath. Have you guys noticed one thing, that the very moment the narcissist notices that you're catching up on them, that you're figuring them out, the very first thing what they do, they are going to run. The first thing what they do, in my own experience, that's what I've seen, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can concur with this. The first thing what they do, when they notice that you're catching up on them, they're going to run away, very, very far away from you, you know. Because first of all, when you're talking about the super empath, those are the guys who are aware. You know, they're aware of themselves. They have awakened, and they have at some point come to that conclusion of who they really are. You know, so they have discovered that they are empaths, and usually they have gotten a lot of self-awareness, and they have decided to step up and build up very strong mechanisms to protect themselves. So those are the guys they call the super empaths. They are very, very aware. So those guys, what happens is that normally they usually catch up with these guys very quickly, you know. And again, when I'm talking about narcissists, guys, you need to understand that I'm talking about so many different kinds of toxic individuals, you know. So we may cover all these psychopaths, you know, the sociopaths, and all these kind of toxic individuals. So a lot of empaths, what happens is that when they come to that knowledge that they're super empaths, what happens is that they develop very strong defensive mechanisms to protect themselves, number one. Because remember, empaths they are not guys who intend to hurt anyone. You know, an empath doesn't hurt anybody. An empath who is thinking about hurting people or things like that, those are the empaths. They haven't really healed, you know, so they are still healing, and so a lot of them are still struggling to let go, to forgive, a lot of things, codependency, all these kind of things, you know. So the narcissist, what happens is that they know exactly the power of a super empath. And normally, because those guys are naive, they are very greedy and naive and very selfish as well. So what they do, they don't put it in the back of their mind that at some point, those particular individuals, the empaths, the super empaths, they've got the ability to break them to the maximum. So they always come in, they do what they have always done, the best they can do, they do what they always do. You know, they start to doing all these kind of small tricks, manipulation and everything. But you see the super empath, the difference with the super empath is that the super empath normally, they catch up with those individuals very, very quickly. So it might, sometimes, you know, the narcissist might slip away in a couple of days, maybe 1 day, 2 days, I don't know, maybe a week. It could even go up to a month. But it will not take a super empath long before the super empath realizes that actually they are dealing with a narcissist. Because you see the super empath, normally when they encounter those guys, those toxic individuals, they will straight away start adding up all the dots, you know. So they'll be making a conversation, and the super empath is checking the details. Each and every single word those guys speak, the super empath is checking also every single detail. of the conversation, you know what I mean? And is actually adding up all the puzzles. And most of the time, those guys, they don't even know that the super empath is watching them, you know? So they will just be watching them from a distance. But the super empath, I can guarantee you guys, the purpose of this video is to let you know, the super empath has got power. A lot of power, because remember, a super empath, they are also an empowered empath, you know? So they know who they are, and they have got very, very strong defensive mechanism, extremely strong defensive mechanism. So you see, the narcissists, when they meet you guys, when they meet the empaths, they will first of all try to gauge, you know, how much awareness do you have? On what level are you? You know, those are the guys I've met, the narcissists I've met along. That was after waking up, you know. So the narcissists that I've been meeting, you guys have seen my videos before. I've told you that I've met a couple of them, you know. So they will first of all try to understand how much do you know, how aware are you, you know, and then they will see, is there anything they can get from you? Can they still manipulate you? Can they still do all those kind of things that they have always done to empaths? So they'll always be trying to weigh in to see what are they supposed to do with you, you know. But the moment you figure out that those guys, they're narcs, and you start asking them questions, very delicate questions, because remember, again, guys, let's remember that these individuals, they do not expect you to ask particular questions. So there are some questions that the narcissists, they never expect you to ask. And when you ask them those kind of questions, you will see them all of a sudden, they'll start to become very, very angry with you, you know. They'll become very angry with you. They'll do the silent treatment and they'll stop talking to you. And most of the times, if they are very, very extremely delicate questions, those narcissists, they're actually at that particular point, they're actually ready to discard you very, very quickly, because the narcissist knows that the super empath, when they catch up on them, they are going to deliver them a very, very serious, massive narcissistic injury. You know, the narcissists, they know that. You know, the narcissist, when the narcissist leaves an empath, an ordinary empath, so they know that these guys are, of course, probably they're not aware of who they are. Maybe sometimes they're not yet caught up on these games and everything. And they don't have boundaries as well. So they can always discard an empath, a regular empath, and they can get away with it. But when a narcissist messes up with a super empath, that super empath is going to completely destroy that narcissist to the ground. You know what I mean? And normally they do it even sometimes without trying, you know, because the super empath, they know who they are, number one. So normally when they notice and they catch up on these games that, these fellas are just taking advantage of them and, you know, taking them for a ride. When they catch up on their game, because those guys have got very strong boundaries, so they will usually detach themselves very, very quickly from those individuals. You know what I mean? And normally, without even trying, they are going to deliver them extremely, extremely. Guys, let me tell you something. The narcissist is very, very much scared about the super empath. They know who you are. They know that they can attain a significant amount of fuel from you. They know that. But because the narcissist does not have a program, now guys, listen to this, it's going to be very interesting. Those guys, they do not have a program, or they don't have some kind of a software that can let them, that can put them on the limit, so they can know that this particular individual is a different kind of empath. So most likely they're going to completely destroy me to the ground. So what they do, they just keep on coming anyway. You know what I mean? So whenever they meet you, or sometimes you guys cross paths, you cross each other's path or something like that, they'll just keep on coming at you. You know what I mean? They just keep on, because for them it's like any empath any type of empath can give them a good amount of fuel. But they also know on the deep level that the super empath, yes, they have got the fuel, a very good amount, significant amount of fuel, but at the same time they know that they cannot get that amount of fuel that they're looking for. So even if they do, they know that they don't have. You guys in my videos I've seen before, I've said the narcissists, they don't have a stop button. So whatever they do, they just go on and continue on going on to the end. That's why last time I did a video and I said that normally those guys, they're capable of destroying themselves. So a narcissist is the only individual on this universe, those narcissists, that they are capable of going into self-destruction mode. You guys have seen my video before, the one I've done before. They will go to the super empath, not even sometimes putting it in the back of their mind that those particular guys are very dangerous for them. A super empath is a very dangerous person for a narcissist. I can guarantee you guys. In my own experience, and also the the knowledge I've kept on picking up along the way, I've noticed that actually the narcissist, the super empath, is the most dangerous. I will say most because those are the guys have got the ability to break down those individuals, those narcissists, without even trying. So when I was living that greater narcissist, I remember a story when I was living the greater narcissist. I caught up on the games, you know. I caught up on the games. That was a couple of months into the entanglement. So I caught up on the games. And one thing what I realized actually was when the narcissist noticed that actually I was catching up on the games, the very first thing what she did, she retreated herself out of the entanglement very quickly. Very quickly, guys. I've never seen somebody who extracts themselves out of a situation before you discard them, because remember, the super empath is also capable of discarding a narcissist. You know what I mean? They know how to do it. They know how to do it without causing chaos, without causing drama. The super empath will destroy a narcissist, will extract themselves out of those entanglements without actually causing a lot of chaos. But on the other hand, they also know that when they get out of those entanglements, they're going to destroy. So that greater narcissist, I remember, I delivered that greater narcissist a very serious, massive narcissistic injury. You know what I mean? Without even me trying. Guys, let me tell you something. This is even one of the most even funniest part. You don't have to be there. You just have to get out. And the only way most of the super empaths have done to destroy those narcissists, normally they have actually exposed them and their own dirty deeds that they've been doing behind closed doors, and normally those narcissists, they have found out about it. You know what I mean? So because remember, you guys when you guys separate, or you guys when you discard them or discard each other or something like that, those guys, they keep on following you. They will keep on stalking you. Sometimes they will check your social media pages. You know, they will sneak in. They have a way how to do it. They always do it. You know what I mean? So they will always find out what you know. And I remember the moment I discovered that, I figured out that greater narcissist, that particular individual, very quickly, immediately, they ran out of the situationship, because they knew that I had already caught up on them. The questions that I was asking in that time, they were very intense, and they didn't have any answers for them, because remember, these guys are very shallow. So when they are thinking, those toxic individuals, they're very shallow. They don't have they don't deep think. They don't have that kind of you know, level of thinking like the empaths. So that narcissist, the greater narcissist, extracted themselves out of the situationship. Believe me, before I knew it, in a couple of, I think that was about 3 weeks. It took about 3 weeks or a month. I would later on find out that actually that narcissist received a very serious narcissistic injury. You know what I mean? So the super empath, they are very dangerous when it comes to this kind of narcissistic and you know, empaths encounters and everything. They are very dangerous, extremely dangerous. They are very kind and very good people. Don't guys, quote me right on this one. They are very nice and kind and good people. They will give you everything you need without even asking, because they are empaths already, but then they are evolved empaths as well. So they will give you anything you need as long as you come in your right image. You know what I mean? Without things without some stuff in your closet. You come straight to them, to their face, and you show your true identity, your true personality. They notice that you're a good person. They are going to give you everything. But those guys, they're the guys you can never mess up. You can never mess with them, because those are the guys, they do not take any amount of BS. It doesn't matter who you are. And guys, let me tell you something. Those guys are very dangerous. Those guys, they can even break down their own parents. You know what I mean? So the very moment they will notice they are around these parents. You guys, many of you guys on my channel, you've been talking about this. A lot of you guys have discarded your own parents. You know what I mean? So the very moment they discover that they're involved with parents that are manipulative and destructive, those individuals, they catch up on them. Those empaths, they are going to destroy even their own parents. So a super empath is not a person to joke with. It's not a subject. Those individuals, they are not a subject to joke with. They will break down anybody that comes along their way with the wrong intentions. It doesn't matter who they are. You know what I mean? So these narcissists, they are naive. So they don't know in the back of their head that when they are going on to this, because for them, they look at everybody as a victim, as a potential source of supply, and eventually as a victim. You know what I mean? So they say, I can just go to this guy, this man or woman. We can start up something. You know what I mean? And I can start extracting stuff from them. So because they don't know the difference between they know the difference between the super empath and an ordinary empath, but they don't know how to stop themselves from continuing this kind of entanglements. So normally what they do for them, they will just come in. They will just come in and start studying you. This person probably they're asleep, they're awake, They know what is going on. They know what time it is. So they will start to level you, to put you at a certain grade, to see exactly how much of a supply, your level of supply that you can offer them. So normally they will be scanning you, and at the same time, the empath also, they will also be scanning them. You know what I mean? So they will put them on the radar. Normally, what happens is that the empaths, those are the guys, the super empaths, those are the guys the narcissist does not want to mess with. You know, they will mess with you. You know, I've continued to see them along my journey. You know, a lot of them have been, you know, sometimes I remember in my early days of waking up, when I was aware of this narcissism and everything. So they used to come in, you know, in and out. So I would see them, I would just figure out, this person is a narcissist. I would just go the other way. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even bother wasting my time, because remember, the empath, the super empath, they know all the small details. The empath has got all the puzzle figured out. They know all the little, slightest details. And those narcissists, they don't know that those guys, they know everything. They know that they know something, they are powerful, but they don't believe in their mind. They don't have that software to tell them that this guy you're dealing with, that particular person, is a very dangerous individual. You should even stay away from them. You know what I mean? So for all this toxic, this video is to just let you guys know, and all these toxic individuals out there, when you see a super empath, you narcissists around there, I don't know, those kind of toxic guys, you better run. If you know that the person you're dealing with, those guys, they're super empaths, I will tell you that you better run, because I know, and I've seen it myself, it has been my experience as well. I know exactly how dangerous those individuals are when it comes to all these kind of manipulations. I know the amount of damage they're going to cause to those particular individuals who are trying to destroy them on a subliminal level. So guys, let me know in this video, what has been your experience, guys, if you have met a narcissist, and how have you caught up on them, and how massive has the injury been? A lot of you guys have delivered those narcissistic injuries. And again, guys, let me tell you something. We don't intend to do this. The empath is always an empath. An empath, they're very beautiful souls. No bad intentions, no negative motives. When they come into relationships, they come into those relationships genuinely, with genuine intentions. But the only thing an empath will not take, a super empath that will not take, is a person who comes into their life to disorganize them, to mess up with them, you know, just to come around and steal from them. Because those guys, they are, number one, they are awakened. For you to become a super empath, you have got to be awakened. You have got to be awakened to narcissistic abuse. Most likely, you're even sometimes a spiritual person, or a very religious person if you've grown up in those communities, churches and everything. You know all the details, what you need to do to protect yourselves, and you know all types of toxicity from A to Z. So if the narcissists know this, how much the empaths know, those super empaths know, they will very much stay away from those individuals, because those individuals, they're going to break them down. And I can guarantee you guys, me myself, there are some narcissists I've just forgiven. I just said, okay, so let me just let those people go. I know how to destroy them, but the only thing I've done, because I'm not that kind of individual, so I've usually just let them just carry on and go, without me having to do anything. Because I knew if I had to do something, I would completely break them down, and they know this. You know what I mean? So guys, let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. I've been having a little break, but and then I noticed that actually I have a lot of stuff to do, personal stuff to do, my other private stuff to take care of myself. And again, I'm still doing it. So I might usually be coming out whenever I can, just to do a video to my fans out there, my subscribers. Although it may not really necessarily be like as frequent as it has always been, okay? So let me know, guys, what you think about this video in the section below. Much love and blessings, guys. Desmos signing out. Peace.